How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to Rangers Rundown. This is not a game that I want to talk about, so I'm going to try and keep this short and sweet so we can have a short-term memory and move on and pretend this game never existed. Great. Reeves is back from IR. He would play in the game tonight, and that's the only thing of note before this game started. Lineup: Goudreau, Zibanejad, Kreider, Panarin, Strome, Kakko. Lafreniere's back on the third line with the return of Reeves with Hedl and Blais, and then Reeves on that bottom line with Rooney and Hunt. So McKegg is the one that drops out of the lineup. Don't think anybody's going to miss him. Lindgren, Fox, Miller, Trubin, Nemeth, Tenorti in, Nemeth out. Or not Nemeth, Lundqvist out. So Tenorti back in. Shesterkin in goal. Unfortunately, not one of his best starts for the Rangers tonight. Lundqvist being a healthy scratch again, it's starting to not make sense. I get if you want to make the argument that he should sit for a game or two because he's not used to this ice and he needs time to adjust, and maybe you're just giving him a rest. They're on a road trip, so maybe he's just a little more tired than the rest of the guys. I understand that. But if you're going to healthy scratch him for multiple games, why not just send him down to Hartford? If you send him down to Hartford, he becomes the best defenseman for the Wolfpack and arguably in the entire league. Send him down, let him get his confidence on that smaller ice surface, and then in 2 weeks bring him back up and slot him right back into the lineup. If they keep healthy scratching him, I think it's just a detriment to his play and his development. I don't know. But anyway, into the first period, 2:16 in, Hedl and Blais collide. And Hedl goes to the locker room, and he would not return for the rest of the game. So 2 minutes in, Hedl and Blais, teammates, not looking where they're going, crash into each other, and it's enough to send Hedl to the locker room for the rest of the game. Hopefully he's back tomorrow against the Panthers, because if the Rangers have any chance of beating the Panthers, they need their best players healthy. Otherwise, they're not winning. And then they go 0-2-1 for these 3 games. I really hope Hedl's okay. 3 icings in the first 3.5 minutes for the Rangers, so stop, start, not able to build any sort of momentum. 5 minutes in, the shots are 0-3 for Calgary, so 5 minutes, Rangers haven't generated any shots. 6:42, the Rangers finally get their first shot on goal. Good sustained pressure after that. 9 minutes in, Calgary had an open net, but it deflected into the netting, so Calgary could have been up very early in this game, 1-0. Shortly after that, Hunt and Rooney had a good chance. 13:02, Tkachuk took a tripping penalty, but there was a shorthanded chance for Calgary. And then a Panarin slap shot just trickled wide of the net. It was a nice hard shot. It slipped through Markstrom, but it just went just wide, just past the post. 15:38, Rooney would take an interference penalty, and on that power play, Calgary would score. Monahan would score a power play goal, I believe his second goal of the season, so he's off to kind of a slower start than I think some Calgary fans would have wanted. And then at 18:17, Fox would score a beautiful goal, absolutely beautiful goal, but it was called offsides. So instead of the Rangers being tied 1-1, they're back down to being behind 1-0. If you didn't see the game, I would watch the highlights just for that one goal that was called back because it was great. Shots 9-6 for Calgary at the end of one period. We go into the second. Zibanejad had a very streaky chance. It was Kreider-like from the previous game. 1:20, Kakko has a chance after a very good shift. He still has no points on the season, but he's playing pretty good defensive hockey, which is great. But if you're a top 6 forward, you also want the offense to be there. Lindgren took a hit in the corner and his helmet came off. He got up without a helmet and he started to skate back into the play and then realized he has to go to the bench because if you're not wearing a helmet, you have to immediately go to the bench. Otherwise, it's a penalty. So he started to skate back into the play, but then he went off. 2:20, Miller had a great chance, but it was shot wide. 4:21, Kreider with 2 chances in front, so he shot and he got his own rebound for a second chance. Neither of them went in. 6:27, Shesterkin had a big save alone with a Calgary player right in front of him. 7:09, Nemeth takes a holding penalty. Great penalty kill. Like, say what you want about the Rangers special teams, but their penalty kill has been decent. You know, top 10 in the league. I think still. Maybe not after the last couple games, but they're still top half of the league. Top third. But at 9:17, Richardson would score a goal. It was a ricochet off the boards behind the net, and he just tucked it right in. Nothing Shesterkin could really do. I mean, he was late tracking the initial shot, and then he was late to come across once it bounced off of the boards, off the other side, or out from the other side of the net. Could he have tracked that puck a little better? Of course. Was Shesterkin great tonight? No. He's going to have those games. Maybe that goal doesn't happen if he sees the initial shot. We'll never know. And then a couple minutes later, Gaudreau would score a goal at 11:20. Puck bounced around in the crease, it slid out, and he just kind of tucked it right in. Easy goal for him. So now, Calgary is up 3-0. 12:27, Richardson would take a high sticking penalty. Halfway through the power play, Markstrom lost his skate blade, so the Rangers got kind of a little timeout while they fixed Markstrom's blade, and they allowed the first unit to stay on for the entire power play because they got that little break. The first power play unit is getting shots, just not much is going in. 17:38, Reeves takes a illegal check to the head penalty, and Tenorti and Gudbranson fight right after that penalty. So you get 3 penalties for the price of 1. And at this point, I'm just thinking, get to intermission only down by 3, and you have a chance to win this game. And they did. It gets chippy after the goal horn, or the end of the period. The lines kind of come together and they start talking to each other, and it gets a little chippy. Shot 16-8 for Calgary in the second period. So Rangers getting very badly outshot, but that's kind of been, you know, the name of this season so far. The Rangers do not generate a lot of shots, and they let up quite a few shots as well. And if they have any chance of making the playoffs, they have to flip the script on that. They're not generating a lot of offense so far this season. Third period, 45 seconds in, Shillington takes a high sticking penalty. Markstrom completely robs Strome. And then Hunt on the second power play tonight, which I thought was nice. I'm really liking Hunt in his play. It's not showing up in the points necessarily, but he's a hard-nosed player that knows what he's doing. And he's also about to play his 100th NHL game. He's been in the NHL for, I think, 5 seasons now. On and off, up and down with different teams, but I do like him. I think he's a solid bottom 6 forward for this team. Calgary 3-on-1 right after that power play, but Shesterkin shut the door. And then at 6:41, Gaudreau would score his second goal of the game. It was one that Shesterkin's probably going to want back. It was just a harmless backhand, and it just trickles right in. And I'm thinking to myself, at this point, it's 12:15, 12:30 in the morning, and I'm just like, can this game be over so I can go to bed? I'm getting really tired of watching the Rangers get shellacked by this team for the second time this season. 12:44, Zibanejad was completely robbed. Markstrom obviously played an excellent game tonight, stopped everything. 13:13, Lucic scores a goal. It was a knuckler, went right over the shoulder of Shesterkin. And then at 14:53, Chuck would score a goal. It was a pretty nice goal. It was one of those between the legs, top shelf kind of goals. He was smiling for a while after it. It was a nice goal, but that puts the Flames up 6-0 against the Rangers. So that last 5 minutes, I pretty much just checked out of the game. As soon as Calgary scored their 4th goal, the game was over. So it is what it is. This team was not about to score 5 goals to win a game tonight. That just wasn't going to happen. Stats at the end of the game, shots 22-37 in favor of Calgary. So again, Rangers only generating 22 shots. You got to generate more than that. You have to. They're at the bottom of the league for shots generated, and it just needs to change. Face-off, they won 51% of the face-offs, though. Yay. Probably the first time they were above 50% all season. Power play went 0 for 3, hits 27-13 in favor of the Rangers. That makes sense. The team with more hits is usually the team that possesses the puck less. Blocks 12-9, also in favor of the Rangers. The trivia question of the evening: which Rangers legend scored his 500th goal to complete a hat trick 26 years ago today against the Flames. And wouldn't you know it, I knew the answer to this question. Well, I didn't know it, but I guessed, and I got the answer right for the first time, I think, ever. And it is Mark Messier. You think Rangers legend 26 years ago, so 1995. Who was a Rangers legend in 1995? Mark Messier. Who's going to score 500 goals in a career? It's process of elimination narrowed that choice down pretty quick. But it was Mark Messier in a 4-2 win at Madison Square Garden. So there you go. Rangers moved to 6-3-3 through the first 12 games of the season. Again, not a horrible record, but their last 3 games since Vancouver, they are 0-1-2. So for this 4-game road trip that they just played, they got 3 of a possible 6 points. No, 3 of a possible 8 points. No. Yeah. No, 4 out of a possible 8 points. I'm sorry, it's early. 4 out of a possible 8 points. So they were 500 through this road trip, if you really want to think of it that way. They did lose 3 of the games, but points-wise, they were 500. Is that going to be enough to keep them high enough in the standings all season to make the playoffs? A lot of things need to change. And I've heard some people talking about going after Riley Smith. Wouldn't that be great? But Vegas has a lot of injuries right now, and they are not going to trade one of their better players until all of their injured players come back. So if we want Riley Smith, we're not getting him until Vegas has a full roster again. And then I've heard people say Phil Kessel from Arizona. Now, we all know how well Arizona is playing this year. So Kessel probably wants out, and there's only 1 year left on his contract. He can probably generate some offense for the Rangers. Maybe that's a trade they go for. I wouldn't mind Kessel coming in. But we'll have to see what happens. We'll just have to see. Rangers are back in action tomorrow night against the Panthers. So we'll see what happens in that game. And then they get the week off. They don't play again until Saturday. So they get this week off, get a couple practices in, really talk about what's going wrong. And then starting Saturday, they have another 3 games in 4 nights. So this team is really going to be tested in terms of their resolve. It'll be fun to watch, as hopefully they win, or at least get some points. But if you like this video and you want to see more videos like it, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next rundown.